Good evening, everybody, and welcome. Day number 85. Woo, just slid into the chair here. This has been a very, very full day. I'll give you a quick update on it while everybody else is jumping in here. And believe me, tonight is not a program you want to miss. Hey there, Jeremy Teeple, Ontario, Canada. You moved, right, Jeremy? Where'd you go to? You still in Ontario? Let me start with this, and then I'll tell you guys. Let's see. Chuck Pinkham, San Jose, California. We'll be at prayer tonight at the church. Ukraine will be lifted up. We'll watch after. Good. Lozier's checking in as always. God bless you guys. I've got stuff everywhere because I'll tell you in a second. Don Gentilini, as always, man, you're faithful. Thank you. PG, we're praying for God to give Ukraine victory in this war. Thanks for your love for Ukraine. Awesome people who love God and simply want freedom. Arden, Ontario. Awesome. Thank you. So Paul Kiss, you'll like this. There's more Canadians in the house. There's our resident Canadian Pennsylvanian, Nate Fody, Vacaville, California. Listen, folks, we're not discombobulated tonight. Everything is going to work. I know that you're actually here not to know what's going on in Ukraine. You're here for the comedy show, but it's not. There's not going to be one tonight, although I could use a few more fingers. Rick Berry, God bless you, and thankful for all that you do. Bob Piccarilli, let me just roll through them quick because we got to get into this. Julia Augustine, welcome. Gani King checking in from Manila, Philippines. As always, God bless you, Pastor Gani. ¿Cómo estás? Hello from the center of the world, Pastor Kent Bell. JDO, did you resolve the ghost in the machine? Oh, yes. Stephen Haywood and I were working quite a bit today. Everything is golden. The ghosts are gone. We're smooth as silk tonight, folks. I guarantee you. That is a shirt right there. Oh, yes, it is. And you're going to learn about that shirt. Slava Ukraina. Now, here's what we're going to do, folks. So I literally just slid into the chair. Here's how my day went. I left early this morning because I'm not going to miss a day, period. I don't care if I've got to stream from my sick bed for 5 minutes and give you an update. It's going to happen. But today was quite a day. My mother's been in the hospital. You say, PG, you're 49 years old and kids and wife and my mother, 71, in the hospital. She battles with a little bit of congestive heart failure. So she's had a tough couple of days, but doing much better. She'll come home tomorrow. And for those of you that understand anything or have experience with congestive heart failure, you know that's a part of the deal. My father is a 3-time cancer survivor. He's whooped it every time. Lymphoma. He should have been dead 8 years ago, but running around like a wild and crazy man, healthy as a horse. Had a little flare up, extremely minor. So we have jumped on it proactively. And usually my mom goes and takes him for his treatments. He has just 4 treatments. No big deal for him this time. And this was the 3rd one. So mom's in the hospital. And this morning I had to take dad to Pittsburgh. And I thought it was just going to be like an hour treatment. So we left this morning and get down to the hospital. And he told me on the way down, he says, listen, man, you got your iPad? I said, yeah, Dad, I got to get stuff ready for the program tonight. I can work everything in the cloud. No problem. He goes, well, listen, they got a fantastic lounge for you to sit in. You can set up like an office. Everything's beautiful and you'll be rolling. We get to the hospital, and it's beautiful, as you guys know, every UPMC hospital in downtown Pittsburgh. We get there, we go up to the floor where he's going to be treated. He's got to get a couple of shots, and then he has to have a bag of Rituxan sent through him. And we get off the elevator, and he takes me over, and there's a wooden table and a wooden chair and a guy with a coffee pot. He goes, man, here's your spot right here. I said, excuse me, I thought this was a nice, comfortable, beautiful lounge, maybe nice chair, could pull up a desk and have a nice work area. No, this place is nice. This is where your mom sits. I said, okay. So he rolled on in there, and I honestly thought, okay, a couple of hours, we'll be good. You got to get a shot. Then, yeah, 5 o'clock, we're still rolling. And not only that, I have a band practice at 6:30. So I'm calling my guy, Chris. I said, dude, get the band practice ready. I think I'm going to make it. I set the world record coming home from downtown Pittsburgh tonight to Greenville, Pennsylvania. And yeah, I'll be in the car, Dad. So, hey, we got it done. Successful treatment. Mom's doing well. Coming out of the hospital, I had everything prepped. I've been talking to Ukraine all afternoon. And folks, you do not want to miss what I'm going to share with you in just a few moments. Got everything ready. Had our music practice and literally slid into the chair in just enough time to get this beautiful shirt on. This is a very, very special shirt, and you're going to learn why. So, folks, without further ado, thank you for being here and supporting. As you saw, the title of the program tonight is Azovstal Update. Major update. Food for thought. Things to ponder. There's something going on. So without further ado, let's get to this. This is where we're starting today. Many of you going, okay, PG, why are you wearing that shirt? Well, take a look here. Today is actually a holiday in Ukraine. So I'm supporting the Ukrainian holiday. Everybody did. Soldiers put, okay, so Ukraine is very, 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 very well known for their embroidery. Maybe you've seen these patterns in different places. It's Ukrainian. And I have lots of these shirts from speaking and doing different events there. This is a pure Ukrainian shirt I'm wearing tonight. This shirt came from somewhere in Ukraine. I do not remember where I got it, but it's Ukrainian. I've got my shirt on. I mean, this is a nice one. When you got the tassels, you're big time. And so in support of Embroidery Day, that's what it is, I wear my shirt. Now, there was a video released for Embroidery Day. In fact, today, President Zelensky gave his update. No, he did not say one syllable about Azovstal. I'm not mad at him because I'm going to update you why. I know why. It's just getting crazy, folks. Absolutely crazy. And I have triple confirmed this before I share it with you in a few moments. But today's Embroidery Day. So there was these videos released. President Zelensky made a speech, had his official, basically a shirt like this, but his was green and the pattern. So I'm paying tribute tonight to Ukraine and Embroidery Day. This was a video released today about Embroidery Day. And there was some speaking on it, and I, unfortunately, being gone all day, didn't have time to translate it, so I pulled that out. But I will tell you what they said. What they said was, typically on this day, we're celebrating the craftiness, the skills, our Ukrainian culture, but this year, we're in the middle of a war. So they kind of blend the two things together, but still are celebrating the day. Here we go. Day of Embroidery. Folks, There you have it. And it's a beautiful, beautiful video. And listen, it's a special day and we celebrate it the way we can. So thank you for that. And no, I'm not going to start spinning the tassels and dancing. But let's get to it. I've got the updated numbers sent to me tonight or this afternoon. I was able to get this. These are the official numbers released by Ukraine from their ministry. This is the 19th of May up till today. The enemy has lost 28,500 soldiers, 203 airplanes, 167 helicopters, 3,063 APVs, 1,254 tanks, 93 anti-aircraft systems, 595 artillery systems, 199 MLRS, 455 drones, 103 cruise missiles have been fired at Ukraine in 3 months, 2,157 vehicles and fuel vehicles, 13 cutters, and 43 or boats, not just cutters, boats. Of course, that would include the Moskva, and then 43 pieces of special equipment. I would say Ukraine, you guys, Ricochet, you're spot on. You guys have got to step it up a little bit. Folks, I want to talk to you tonight about the Russian strategy of integration. I was working on this today at the hospital, and we're going to go to the map, and I'm going to show you guys something that is happening. And I think this is a part of the whole plan, including the war plan, including Azovstal, what's happening in Mariupol. Mariupol right now is like a movie, literally like a movie. It is unbelievable what's happening. Yeah, I'm setting you up to share it with you in just a moment. But so the big integration here, the strategy of integration, this is becoming the plan, or it's coming clear to us as this is the plan of Vladimir Putin. Now, here's what I can tell you officially, and I'll move it into a red color. So here's Lugansk, basically. Lugansk is already being switched over to the ruble. They're already running both currencies, but they're going to end the hryvnia. Ukraine only has a footprint on 10% of the Lugansk Oblast right now. Not only is the currency switching over, but also papers, registration, taxes, car papers, insurances, schooling and education. Teachers from Russia are being brought in to teach the children. They are completely integrating the region of Lugansk. You see, that's going to make it even more difficult when we try to wash this out when Ukraine soon pushes them out of Ukraine back to the sovereign borders. It's going to make it a little more difficult, but this is the reason that Russia's dragging its feet, that they're constantly shelling. They're wanting to bring about this integration, this changeover to the complete Russian system. Now, not only Lugansk, hello, Donetsk, doing the same thing. Not only Donetsk, but of course, already Crimea. Not only Crimea, but about 2/3 of the Zaporozhye Oblast, and then all of Kherson Oblast. As you can see, that's a lot of territory. And see, now it's not just a lot of territory that is being fought over, that is being occupied by the enemy, but in fact, they're taking quick advantage to turn over the entire system. Now, not only that, I also have to tell you, and I'm going to make this bigger so that everybody can see it. We'll go with this green color here, and I'm going to make it really thick. Right here on this line, right there. It's right under the city of Zaporozhye. The Russian forces have built a huge block control station on the main highway coming into Zaporozhye. Why? Because this is a main way and let me make this smaller, that people come through to get out, and they go through Zaporozhye. Right there, they have a block post. And here's what I can tell you, and I'm going to roll a little video on this. Ukrainians that are wanting to leave and get on Ukrainian-controlled territory in Zaporozhye are unable to. They have not processed one car of Ukrainians trying to get to Ukrainian-controlled territory in 72 hours. Here you go. This is what people are doing for 72 hours.
Да, тут снимать тоже опасно, потому что это же уже их территория.
72 hours. They're just there. And the Russian forces are not allowing them to leave. Here's what there is a big game afoot right now. There is a huge game afoot, and I do not mean to minimize it by using the word game, but folks, this deal right here is big. Right there. Mariupol, and particularly Azovstal. There's something going on. I do not know what's going on, but I can tell you there's something going on, and we're going to talk about it in just a moment. So this is the strategy of integration. It's a long, drug out process, and it's what Ukraine is experiencing right now. Now, today, Erdogan called, you see, I've named him with all due respect. Good question. Why switch things over if they haven't won the war? Because Russia, okay, here's your answer. Because Russia believes that Lugansk and Zaporozhye and Kherson and Crimea and Donetsk is not Ukrainian. They believe it's Russian territory that is theirs from centuries ago. They're full of it. But they believe that's Russian territory. So it's not about winning a war for them. They've occupied it, but they don't even believe they're occupying Ukraine. They're occupying their own territory. You see what I'm saying? So sure, they're integrating. Rubles, everything being switched. That's what they're doing, and that's why. Now, with all due respect, he is the president of Turkey, Mr. Erdogan, so I do not disrespect him, but I have nicknamed him Humpty Dumpty that sat on a wall. Today he came out, and we have nailed it, my friends. Mr. Erdogan has declared to the world that he is officially Humpty Dumpty. He said today that his relations and Turkey's relations with Russia are strategically important. The president of Turkey said that the volume of Russian, here it comes, folks, gas imports to his country is 50%, so he will not refuse it. There's your answer if you've been wondering. He also added that he would not choose between Russia and Ukraine and adhered to the policy of balance. Let me explain and interpret that to you then. He supports genocide. You say, well, you can't say that. Why can't I? Genocide is happening in Ukraine, and President Erdogan has said he's going to support balanced Russia and Ukraine. So you are supporting the activities of the Russian forces, which is genocide and the raising of Ukrainian territory, sir. Not only that, you're even going to help pay for it because you're not going to refuse and break your relations with Russia, while at the same time you're going to send drones and equipment to Ukraine? Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall, and all the king's horses and all the king's men could not put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Mr. Erdogan, that strategy is not going to work, dear sir. With that said, folks, here it comes. Here it comes. Dmitry Kuleba tweeted, and I put the date there for you to see, May 19th. Strategic ambiguity on Ukraine's European perspective practiced by some EU capitals in the past years has failed and must end. It only emboldened Putin. We do not need surrogates for EU candidate status that show second-class treatment of Ukraine and hurt feelings of Ukrainians. These leaders in Ukraine are getting sick of what's happening. You say, well, what's happening? Well, I showed you the statement from Erdogan, but it's not only that, folks. The sixth round of sanctions, they can't even get through, and they're already talking about the seventh round of sanctions on Russia, but they can't get through the sixth completely because they cannot agree on it with the nations holding back on the veto vote. Now, some nations, large nations in the European Union, France, Germany, are trying to do workarounds to continue to be able to buy fuel and gas from Russia and still qualify for the sanctions. The Ukrainian leadership is getting upset with these European nations talking out of both sides of their mouth. And that truly is what's happening with some of them. And it's got to stop. This dictator must be destroyed, and it is going to take, I'm telling you, it's going to take a unified group of world leaders, especially in Europe, to do it. They have enough weapons. I don't care if it's junk, trash, and they're sending their soldiers to the slaughter. They do not care. Mr. Putin will not back up. And Kuleba and Zelensky and Podolyak and Arestovich, all these guys know it. And they're trying, of course, to be diplomatic, to be polite, to thank the world for all that they've done. And it is a lot. But folks, we can't play both sides of the fence with Mr. Putin. He must be stopped. That's all that's to it. End of story. He then comes out and he makes another statement. And there he is. You guys know this guy by now. Dmitry Kuleba. Yeah, Erdogan supports balanced genocide. I need ammo, not a ride. You guys are right. So Kuleba come out and made it even clearer. Victory is the liberation of occupied territories. Lugansk, Donetsk, Kherson, Crimea, Zaporozhye region. Payment of of occupied territories, including Crimea and Donbass. Payment of reparations, number 2. Prosecution of war criminals and those who committed crimes against humanity, number 3. And number 4, consolidation of Ukraine's place in European integration. These are 4 elements that, for me, the foreign minister of Ukraine, not the deputy, the boss, are integral components of victory. We've been saying it since day one. We're at 85. Ukraine is not going to give up their dirt. And it doesn't matter if President Macron will call Putin and say, listen, maybe I can talk them in to giving up half of Lugansk and half of Donetsk, and let's make a new line of agreement and a demarcation area. It's not going to happen. These people have slaughtered Ukrainians, and they're not going to negotiate, and they're not going to give up their territory. Podolyak. I'm telling you, folks, what date is it? Well, it's in Ukrainian, but it's the 19th of May. All of this is today. What does he say? Do not offer us a ceasefire. This is impossible without total Russian troops withdrawal. Ukraine is not interested in New Minsk. If you do not understand that, that would be Minsk, the capital of Belarus, which is basically the pawn for Putin and President Lukashenko. I've shown you plenty of him. Ukraine is not interested in New Minsk and the war renewal in a few years. That's the deal. He must be destroyed or he'll be back. And if he won't, you say, well, he'll be dead. Somebody else will be back. And then you say, no, there's too many people that don't support the war. Baloney. They'll be back. It wasn't only Arnold Schwarzenegger that said, I'll be back. They will be back unless they're destroyed. You see, let's go to the story of David and Goliath. Oh, I think President Zelensky talked about David and Goliath in the very early days of this war, as well as other politicians. The story of David and Goliath, if you're here and you don't know your Bible history or Bible stories, you say, well, PG, tell me the facts on Ukraine. I'm going to tell you the facts about defeating Russia. David slung the rock, planted right there in Goliath's forehead. Goliath hit the ground. But knowing that the enemy would return, David went up to him, took his own sword, and cut his head off so that he could not get back up and try to come against the Israelites again. You see, it's not good enough just to knock Putin down. And I'm not calling for murder or anything like that. I'm just telling you, he must be defeated to the point where he can't return. And if that means he's a war criminal and he ends up in prison, so be it. But it must happen. There are no other options, because if not, they'll be back. David also used Goliath's own sword, so maybe we can grab one of those Russian tanks and drive it on into Moscow and take care of it with his own tank. But it must happen. You cannot play games. And this is why today Zelensky's real quiet, because of the Azovstal. I'll explain it to you in a moment. But Kuleba and Podolyak and Arestovich are livid. There are other things that have happened in the last 48 hours that is not just Erdogan in Turkey, but and not Poland and not Boris Johnson, but some of these European leaders, Macron, some of these other European leaders, Schultz, some of these other European leaders are starting to get a little yellow on the back. And Ukraine's getting extremely aggravated with it. Because you tell them one thing and then you go behind their back and try to negotiate with a dictator. That is why the Estonian Prime Minister lady came out, Kallas, and says, stop calling Putin. All of this is connected. I showed you that picture a couple of days ago in her quote. Stop calling Putin. Why does she have to say that? Because many nations in the EU are burning his phone line up. And you know what Mr. Putin's doing in his office in the Kremlin? Gloating in the glory. Why? Because when you're calling him, that means he's in charge. No, he's not in charge. He is a dictator. He is evil, and he must be destroyed. We do not negotiate with dictators. We destroy them. Well, the boys in Ukraine go like this one tomorrow. But it's ridiculous, folks. The leadership of Europe, I guess it's 85 days, but we come back to the same strategy. What is that strategy? Mr. Putin knows that if he can drag it out, if he can integrate regions, if he can just keep shelling, that Europe is going to grow weary. It's what he's counting on. It cannot happen. They need some consolidation in their military right now and in their strategy. This is the perfect time. Take them out. Fuel crisis in Ukraine sees no end due to logistics and Russian forces activity. Yes, missiles have been flying, and I don't have time to show you on the map tonight because I really want you to understand Azovstal. I've got some video about it. But same places, Western Ukraine. They're trying to destroy logistics centers. They're trying to destroy hubs where fuel comes in. There's plenty of fuel that can come from Europe. Poland's giving 25 tons of fuel to help Ukraine. but they can't get it there. That's the problem. And Zhenya talked about it the other night. And even he gave a firsthand testimony where the manager of that gas station told him when there was no fuel available, he goes, listen, it's not that we don't have fuel. We can't get it. That's the deal. Boris Johnson. Boris Johnson. It's not Boris. It's Macron. It's France and Germany. I'm telling you straight. It's France and Germany. You say, well, what about the other little nations? They're little. It's France and Germany. So Boris Johnson, look at the date. Look at the date. 5/19. I'll make it bigger for you. Today, May the 19th. Good for you, Boris Johnson. He comes out and he made a call, reaffirming British solidarity with the Ukrainian people to my friend Zelensky this morning, particularly for the brave, pay attention, defenders of Mariupol. Hint, hint. The president and I had a wide-ranging discussion. I updated the president on support flowing to Ukraine's defense, including long-range artillery, shore-to-ship missiles, and unmanned drones. This is a part of our additional $1.3 billion military aid package for Ukraine. Skip over under his beautiful hair there. We also discussed how we can stem the global economic damage caused by Putin's reckless blockade of Black Sea ports. We're going to talk about that in a second. We're looking urgently at options to open up critical seas and land supply routes for Ukrainian grain stocks. 50,000 Ukrainians have now safely arrived in the United Kingdom, and we're doing everything possible to help them build lives here. With over 100,000 visas issued through our schemes and fresh sanctions imposed on Russian airlines today, our resolve is unflinching. We stand with Ukraine. So on a day when Ukraine, on a holiday, on Embroidery Day, where some of these leaders in Europe getting a little weak, Boris Johnson comes out, pumps them up, and says, I'm here with you. And folks, that was not just a tweet. Boris Johnson this morning called President Zelensky to tell him those things personally. So, you know what? As always, kudos to you, Mr. Boris Johnson. In the Russian Federation, this is a part of the integration I'm talking about. And now this is in Russia, but in the Russian Federation, they are returning, and I told you this either yesterday or 2 days ago, the classical USSR pioneer movement. A couple of classical images to the right there. The main task is to form the worldview of children on the basis of traditional Russian spiritual and moral values. The movement this time, though, is not being called pioneers and then Kosmonol and then they move to communists. No, it's a new era. They're calling it the big change. I don't know if that's much like Jerry Seinfeld's The Big Salad from Elaine, but this is the big change. And the big change, it's happening. Here's a little video from out in Russia.
Слава Богу, что мы живем в России, а не в Америке. Слава Богу.
Страна непуганых идиотов.
So, there you have it. Isn't that? And folks, it's happening everywhere. Now, we're going to move now to the big topic of the night. The title of the program tonight was Update Azovstal. Now, I've got to take my time here because I want to make sure I'm 100% accurate. Okay. Here's what I'm going to tell you to start this conversation. The Azovstal remains under assault. I could show you video, but it doesn't matter. Listen, this is what's happening. They're still being bombed. They're still being shelled. Phosphorus munitions are still being dropped. And you know, I told you the other day that the ultimate goal is to level Azovstal, to bulldoze it, to raise it. That's still the goal. But some things have unfolded. In fact, I got to pull up something over here because I sent a message a little while ago to Ukraine, to a couple of my buddies that are there in the East. And I said, dude, what is going on in Azovstal? I said, Greg, we can't talk about it, but something is goofy is happening in our country right now. Everybody's quiet, and we believe that it's the maximum effort to save these guys' lives. That's what we're told, and we believe it, and I do too, 100%. They're trying to save these guys' lives. Now, we know, and I want to be very, very clear on this. Where's my little marker here? 1 second. All right. Now, we know for a fact, and I'll take it back to here. So here's Mariupol. I'll give the red dot on it. When the first batch of wounded, which was 264, when they were evacuated, we know for a fact that 53 went here, right there in Crimea. We also know that 211 went right on the Russian border right there, Novostal. That's 264. Then we watched as approximately 300 unwounded, let me make that a little bigger for you, unwounded or lightly wounded. I showed you the video of them walking outside and the Russian soldiers patting them down. Now, they were originally to have been taken out, and I'll just call it Donetsk. They were originally to be taken this direction, but they were not. They may have started that direction, but they ended up in this area, in detention centers where they are supposed to be treated humanely and processed. I even have video of these guys in bunk rooms laying there in these detention centers. They sent some video out. So that's what we knew up until today, maybe late last night. But then come to find out. And I think somebody in the chat the other night asked the question, is everybody out of the Azovstal? And I answered you no, or I answered you, I do not know. We think so. Well, that's not accurate. Here's what's accurate. There are still up to 1,000 under Azovstal. There was more under the Azovstal than realized. Do not know the exact numbers, but up to 1,000 are still there. They're still being shelled. But here's where it gets interesting. I received a video of a lady talking on text message with her husband. And I saw the video. We got it translated. It happened today, May the 19th. And to be quite honest, I could not understand the video. So I'm going to explain it to you, then I'm going to show you the video. This is a lady who is a wife of one of the soldiers that is still at the Azovstal. And she's being asked some questions. She's answering. She's smiling because for her, it was the first time she had been able to speak to her husband. I know Palamar, Volin, others have gotten videos out. They've done Skype calls. But for this lady, wherever her husband was under the Azovstal, today was the first day that she knew he was alive. He was able somehow, maybe he connected with somebody. Remember, that place is ginormous, and they lost their communications weeks ago. So they're having to do it all on foot under those dark tunnels. Somehow, and I don't know how, but her husband was able to chat with her. Now, when I was watching this video today, trying to understand it, and we got it translated, and I'm saying, I don't understand this video. I don't understand it because part of what she's saying, it seems like her husband is still at the Azovstal. And then part of the video, it seems like he's already in a Russian detention center under guard. I couldn't figure it out. So I called in the boys, sent them the video. I said, please explain this to me. I'm gonna read to you what I wrote to them. I said, I do not understand this video. It doesn't make sense to me. At one moment, it sounds like her husband is still at the Azovstal. I said, but then it seems like the next moment he is with the Russians in a detention center. Is our translation wrong? Is it bad? He goes, no, the translation is good, but you have to understand, like, not just the literal translation, but in Russian we call it smysly. What do you mean? So as we could talk English, you know, I could go pure slang right now, and all of you guys that are Americans would understand what I'm talking about. But if other cultures watched it, they may understand the words, but not understand the meaning at all. So this was me on the video. I understand the language, no problem. But I really got lost on this one. So that was my question to them. And then they replied. He said, Greg, her husband is in the Azovstal. Her husband was completely disconnected. Somehow today, with other soldiers leaving or being taken away or surrendering, whatever it is, we have no clue. That's the truth. He was able to get a phone, and out of the blue, he texted her. So somebody's sitting with her. They film her talking to her husband, and hopefully that will help you understand the conversation. They then wrote to me. They said, listen, when you show this video tonight, please let people know that in this process of the Azovstal, this is a much bigger issue than the world understands. This is why our president is silent. This is why our foreign ministers are silent. It is not because they do not care. They want them out, but they're trying to save their lives. And there are negotiations going on behind the scenes. And if one person makes one mistake, they'll just kill our guys. So we're doing our best to rescue and salvage as many as possible. There's still a lot there. So that gives you a little clarity. I'm going to play that video for you now, and it'll help you understand it better. Here we go.
Ну, розкажіть, що пише.
Все буде добре, зустрінемося. Не переживай.
А чому ви плачете зараз?
Від радості. Що ще він не там, що ще їх не вивезли, і що ще хоч трошечки він може щось сказати.
Боїтеся, що їх вивезуть і не зможу сказати?
Я впевнена в тому, що Там зв'язку не буде. Їм не будуть давати спілкуватися з рідними. Пишемо норм. Без особливих змін. Процес виходу довгий, чекаємо. Багато там людей. Москалі тягнуть час. Я переживаю тільки одне. Щоб та сторона нічого їм всім не зробила. Щоб вони дійсно вернулися всі живі. За це я переживаю. Щоб вони не обманули нас. Довіри до них не було і немає.
А ви мрієте про зустріч?
А хто ж зараз не мріє? Звичайно, мріємо. Ми чекаємо на ту зустріч. Ми, напевно, всі чекають на ту зустріч. І я знаю, що це не буде завтра чи післязавтра. Це треба ще багато і наших зусиль, і зусиль, напевно, всього світу, щоб вони вийшли звідти.
So I hope my pre-story and explanation helped you understand that. So this lady's husband, he's still there. And there are many, many more. These are the things I'm comfortable to confirm. It's not empty. At least potentially, maybe more, maybe a little less, but the number is about 1,000 still there. And yes, they're in the process of still trying to get those guys out. And the message that was written to me was, you know, Greg, the Russians, and it's exactly what she said, are taking their time. I just think there's an entire game, and I mean that as a part of this seriously, afoot behind the scenes. There's something going on around the Azovstal. And I understand it because this is like Ukraine needs to do their best to save the lives of these guys. I wonder if they are doing the surrender involuntary or wave batches. This makes sense to feel out both sides. It's very possible. You know, I can tell you this is a fact. The guys there were ordered to surrender. And not because Zelensky or the guys wanted them to quit, but because they had figured out a plan to try to save their lives. And there was a negotiated agreement. It's signed on both sides, but so were other agreements, and Russia invaded on February the 24th, 2022 for phase 2 of the war. So we don't trust it. So yes, everybody's dancing around and tiptoeing around, walking on eggshells because they're trying to save these guys' lives. Now, one of the guys that we have watched, and honestly, if I had been here all day, I had desired to show maybe 2 or 3 videos, and maybe tomorrow we'll get another video from this guy, and I can do that. I wanted to go back in the records, this is day 85, and find out the first day that I had a video from Palamar. And I wanted to play it, maybe get a different look at his face from then till now. Oh, you just got it. Yes, Palamar, our buddy. He's still there. The deputy commander of the Azov regiment, Palamar, is his last name, recorded a video in which he denied the information of the Russian media and the fact he had surrendered, pay attention, and left Azovstal. He then said an operation is ongoing, the details of which I will not disclose. I'm going to tell you, and I can tell you this for a fact, and I knew this would take time to kind of massage through, but many of you have been here every night, and I thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you for continuing to give to our humanitarian effort, working with Zhenya, with our refuge, with our shelter, with our church. We're doing an amazing job together. But I knew tonight this has been like one of the top stories of this war. Everybody's been watching the Azovstal and Mariupol since day one. And it took me hours today, sitting in the hospital, waiting for my dad to finish his treatment, to get clarity on this picture so I could share it with you and be completely accurate. Pay attention to what he said here. Because in Russia, they were already spreading everything that Ukraine had completely surrendered in Mariupol. Azovstal completely surrendered, and Russia was controlling everything, taking the guys out, and it was all done. He was very clear to say, stop listening to the media there. No. I didn't surrender. I know there's some internal politics going on as well. We're not stupid. But it is what it is. And I can tell you with much confidence that Ukraine is doing their very best to save as many of the guys' lives as possible, because they know they do not need martyrs. We have enough martyrs in Mariupol. There's no reason for these guys to go through the proper process of war, to become prisoners of war, come in exchange process, and be have integrity on both sides and do some exchanges. But you get to the point, remember this, or those, let me call them senators, in the Duma in Moscow screaming, oh, we will do prisoner exchanges, but not Nazis. Nazis need to be killed. This is very complicated. So this is where I want to end tonight. I probably will play it twice for you. This guy done an amazing job, and it's only 22 seconds long, but this was his message today.
Слава Україні! Сьогодні 85-й день війни. Я і командування перебуваю на території заводу «Азовсталь». Триває певна операція, деталі яких я не буду розголошувати. Дякую всьому світу та дякую Україні за підтримку. Побачимося.
Now, I'm going to play this again for you, because I actually spoke very briefly with Zhenya because of our schedules today. And I also spoke with another guy. You guys, over 85 days, I think it's safe to say at least 10, maybe a dozen videos I've played of Palamar. You've seen his character, his energy, even in the middle of that hellish nightmare. It was always Slava Ukraina, victory, boom. But his last phrase here, his last phrase was different. It wasn't, glory to Ukraine, we're going to win, but he used the phrase, see ya. And you're saying, well, you're picking that apart. No, I'm not picking that apart. I'm telling you reality. The reality is, I'm not sure he thinks he's going to get out. I think that he believes, just in hearing that, and it's worthy. This guy's a hero, and all those guys are heroes. They're not terrorists, and they're not Nazis. They're heroes. I think, yeah, you're right, medic. It's goofy. I'm not sure that some of these guys are going to get out. I'll play it for you one more time.
Слава Україні! Сьогодні 85-й день війни. Я і командування перебуваю на території заводу «Азовсталь». Триває певна операція, деталі яких я не буду розголошувати. Дякую всьому світу та дякую Україні за підтримку. Побачимося.
See ya. Folks, all we can do is watch, pray, continue to give, continue to support, continue to encourage, and see what unfolds. You know, JDO, that's a great comment right there. You're spot on. Another reason for leveling the Azovstal is to eliminate any possible of a martyr site if they killed them all. For sure. This is extremely complex. We thought it was easy. Well, we never thought it was easy. We thought we were understanding it 3 or 4 days ago. And okay, we've getting some wounded out. Looks like the other soldiers are getting out. They're going to go through a detention center, and then we're going to have prisoner at war exchanges. And then we see the guys in Moscow losing their minds that we can't exchange Nazis. They have to be killed. And then we find out there's still 1,000 under there. And I don't know. But here's what I can tell you. You're exactly right, medic. It does look different. There's a light on him. That's what I'm telling you. I don't know. I don't know. But I can tell you, we'll stay on top of it. We'll find out. I guarantee you we'll find out. So thank you for continuing to pray. Thank you, Todd Ragland, for that. Thank you, guys, all you military guys. You know, Medic Trevor, that was the first thing I thought. That was the first thing I thought. But with that said, I don't know. I do not know. Yeah, that's a good comment, JDO. We cannot assume that they have not had to move from one location to another to make these videos. That's true. We don't know. But we'll find out. We didn't even know if this guy was still alive, to be honest with you. And I'm glad to see that video. I trust my guys that I'm trying to double check information with before I share it with you. I promise you one thing. Everything I've shared with you tonight, especially regarding Azovstal, I triple checked it. I made every phone call I could because I wanted to make sure we were accurate. And I feel confident we are. We shall see. 23 hours. And guys, I want you to know something. No failures tonight. No technical mess ups. Stephen Haywood, you're a legend. God bless you guys. Continue to pray for Ukraine. Continue to give. Be blessed. And we'll see you in 23 hours. I should have another update by then. Be blessed. Good night.